I want to speak directly to a very specific group of men today. Men who are intelligent, men who are successful, men who are analytical, logical, disciplined, and accomplished in their professional lives. Men like you, men who are engineers, who are doctors, who are professors, who are researchers, men who solve complex problems for a living. And yet, when it comes to women and dating, you find yourself thinking, why does this feel so confusing? Why don't the rules make sense here? And what does work and what doesn't work when it comes to modern dating and attracting women? And now, if that is you, I want to say something clearly from the start of this video. You're not bad with women. You're not socially awkward. You're certainly not broken. You are simply using the wrong operating system for intimacy. And in this video, I want to give you clarity, not platitudes. So this is what we're going to cover today. Firstly, I'm going to explain why your analytical strengths don't translate well into dating. Then I'm going to show you how this mismatch shows up in real dating situations. And finally, I'm going to walk you through what actually works instead in a way that doesn't require you to become somebody that you're not. This isn't about tricks. It's not about games. It's about understanding how attraction actually works and how to engage it without abandoning your intelligence. So, welcome to this channel. My name is Kimberly Hill. I support good-hearted men to attract and keep deeply loving relationships. And this is what this podcast talks about. Life, dating, navigating women, understanding behaviors, learning things that make you a better person and make you a better individual when it comes to modern dating, and a better person that is suited for the kind of relationship you want to have. And so if you like all that, then please welcome to this wild, wacky world of dating and relationships. Now, if you are looking for some personalized support in your dating life, I do take complimentary consultations with men who are serious about working with a coach and getting support in this area of their lives. And there's a link to fill out an application form, see if we're a good match to have that complimentary call. And we can talk about what working together looks like. Now, firstly, I want to talk about this kind of core mismatch. Now, engineer-minded men are trained to succeed in environments that are rewarding logic, that are rewarding predictability, that have clear inputs and outputs. They're working around optimization, risk reduction, evidence before action. And that mindset's very powerful. It's why you're successful. But dating does not run on logic first. Dating runs on emotion, nervous system cues, timing, energy, presence, subtleties, what's felt but not actually said. So when you apply an analytical framework to dating or relationships, you don't fail, you just end up confused because you're trying to solve a system that isn't designed to be solved. So how this actually shows up in dating, let's actually talk about what this looks like in real life, right? Engineer-minded men men like yourself are going to ask questions instead of making observations. You're going to have a tendency to over-explain instead of letting moments breathe. You are going to try and understand the woman in front of you instead of letting her experience you or the moment. You're going to wait for certainty before making a move. You're probably going to look for, the right time instead of creating momentum. You might suppress your own emotions to stay reasonable. You might treat dating like a sequence of steps that you need to get right. And from your perspective, this makes sense. You're being respectful, you're being thoughtful, you're being measured, you're being appropriate. But here's the truth on how this often lands with women. It lands as polite, but a little flat. It's safe, but it's not very compelling. It's intelligent, but sometimes emotionally distant. You might be consistent, but maybe it's not always magnetic. And maybe you're kind, but you might be hard to read or hard to feel. It's like nothing is wrong, but nothing is igniting either. And so most men believe that attraction works like this. If I understand this woman better, then she will like me more. If I do things in a very particular calculated way, then she will like me more. But attraction doesn't happen through understanding or through a specific series of events. It happens through experience. Women do not decide how they feel about you based on your logic, your credentials, or how carefully you choose your words. They're going to decide based on how their body feels around you, whether they feel relaxed or tense, whether they feel seen or managed, whether they feel led or neutral, and whether they feel warmth and curiosity and play from you. Now, especially women that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, women that have had some life experience, they're looking for partnerships and men to include in their life that are going to invite warmth, curiosity, and play. Not drama or complication, certainly not the things that you'd be looking for. Now, attraction happens in our nervous systems, not in our intellect. And this is where analytical men will struggle the most. And this is the uncomfortable truth as well, is when you lead with logic in dating, you will often be susceptible of talking more instead of feeling, explaining to women instead of inviting, clarifying what you're meaning or saying instead of flirting with them, analyzing the situations instead of noticing, and you might try to remove uncertainty instead of allowing the uncertainty, because attraction requires a little dose of uncertainty. It doesn't want chaos, it doesn't want games, but it does need openness. So dating is not about proving that you are safe or competent as a partner. And if you're in a position where you're trying to prove that you're safe or prove that you're competent, I swear you've already lost, because dating and connection with women is about creating a felt sense of connection. And if you already are a safe and competent man, then you certainly don't need to prove you are to anybody. It's something that you would inherently know already. So you don't build attraction by minimizing risk. You build it by being emotionally present, even inside uncertainty. So here's the reframe, guys. It's going to change everything for you. And that's, of course, looking at dating. It's not problem solving. It's about your presence. It's about noticing. It's about being in the moment, truly. It's about, being so in the moment that you can recognize a woman's energetic shift. You can notice the subtlety and change in her tone, more excited or more drowned out. You can pick up on her body language. You recognize her level of engagement. And so therefore you have a better sense of knowing when to lean in, when to pause, when to lead the interactions. Instead of asking her more questions, you actually start to make observations. And I'm going to explain all this in a moment. And instead of explaining yourself, you let the moments land with her. And instead of waiting for confirmation from her, you're actually offering direction. And instead of managing the interactions with her, you're staying inside of them. Now, none of this means you need to abandon logic. It just means you need to sequence it in the correct order, which might be the reverse of what you're used to. Emotion first, logic later. Not logic first, emotion later. It's emotion first, logic later. Now, if you're an analytical man listening to this, you might be thinking, okay, well, I understand this conceptually, but what does it actually look like when I'm on a date, texting, or trying to ask a woman out? Right? So let me give you some very practical examples of how to shift from being in your head, overanalyzing, overmanaging, overthinking, into being more present, more grounded, and more connected in the moment, because that is what's going to create the experience that leads to attraction with the women that you want to date. Now, of course, this has nothing to do with saying the perfect thing. It's about staying with the interaction instead of trying to control it, and we often control out of fear. Now, for example, what shifting from analytical to present will look like in real dating situations is first breaking down one of the things that analytical men do, which is sometimes asking more questions instead of observing. Now, analytical mode is going to be, hey, what do you do for work? What made you choose that? How long have you lived here? Nothing wrong, but this is going to turn your first date into an interview. Now, I have a lot of men recently that are experiencing speed dating. It's kind of re-emerged in terms of its popularity. A lot of people are getting very exhausted with online dating, and so they're looking for, how can I spark connection in the real world? Now, with speed dating in particular, you only have so much time to make a connection. And if you're in default analytical mode, what do you do for work? What made you choose that? What brings you here? Is this your first time? It's more interview-like than it is connection contriving, right? So instead, you want to be more in the moment, which means you might make an observation about what you're noticing. Like, let's say you ask the question, what's something you're passionate about lately? By the way, a better question, because she has to then borrow passion and bring it into your conversation. And she says, she's really excited that she just got back into pottery again for the first time in 20 years. And you tell her that, wow, you really lit up when you shared that with me. It's way more present because it's not about the next question. Oh, that's great. What pottery? More kind of a analytical type question. It's like just letting her know you noticed her energy changed and she lit up when she talked about that. Or that seems like something you're genuinely proud of. Or you have a really calm energy. That's not common. By the way, a wonderful compliment is to say something that like singles a woman out and makes her feel special. Now, this is what presence is. Presence makes her feel felt, not assessed. Because it'd be easy to say, well, what kind of pottery and what materials do you use and when was the last time you did it? And it's like a little bit more of a timeline versus just getting into, wow, you really light up when you talk about that. And then she's going to say something after that, I guarantee it. Now, in those moments of connection, there's also something that analytical men can do more often, which is explain things versus kind of letting whatever they say land with a woman. Now, analytical mode is going to be like, okay, this woman shares something personal about her life, and you kind of explain that, you reassure it, or you analyze it. A little more of the presence that women would be looking for is that maybe she shares something vulnerable, and you pause, and you smile, and you say, thanks for telling me that, or I really like that about you. Then you stop talking. Because silence is not awkward here, it's connective. Okay, now when it comes to asking a woman out, oftentimes analytical men are waiting for that perfect moment or what they feel is the perfect conditions versus offering direction. So analytical mode is, look, I don't know if this is too soon, or let me know if you'd want to, or no pressure at all here, or hey, if you don't want to, don't worry about it. So that puts a woman immediately in the position of now she is the leader. But if you're going to be more present, you're going to offer your own direction. You're going to say, look, I really enjoyed this. Let's grab a drink later this week. I mean, she can still say no. Or this conversation feels really good. Let's continue it in person. Calm direction is attractive. And calm direction is not pushy. It's just calm direction. Now, let's talk about something like dating apps, for example, like managing a woman versus responding to her. Now, the analytical mode is going to overthink every single message you send on a dating app, writing long explanations and trying to keep the conversation alive. And being more present, in fact, is going to look like noticing her effort, matching her tone, keeping it light, and moving to a date when there's energy, or letting it go if there isn't. You stop trying to carry the interest all on your own. You notice where she's at, and you also can meet her there. Now, there's also this reading engagement instead of trying to force momentum too. So you might start noticing like, look, is this woman actually asking questions back? Is she leaning into the conversation or pulling away? Is her energy opening or is it kind of closing? If she's engaged, you can lean in. If she's neutral, you'll stay light. And if she's disengaged, you're not going to push here. You're responding, not forcing anything. And of course, I also want to talk about this emotion first, logic later, and what this really means. It doesn't mean you abandon logic, right? It doesn't mean you abandon logic. It means first, you create the conditions for emotional safety, the warmth, the curiosity, the presence, the fun, the flirtation. And then you use your logic for values, for compatibility, for boundaries and decision making. Emotion's what opens the door, and logic decides whether you're going to walk through it or not. Or maybe said another way, dating isn't about finding the right words, it's about creating the right state. When the emotional state is right, the words matter far less. They really matter far less. If a woman already feels connected to you, how you ask her out is the least of your concerns. She's already wanting to say yes, she's just waiting for you to do that. So I really hope that this video has just brought about a different perspective for you on how to think about dating. It's very common that the men I work with are very professional. They're analytical and successful because of that. But unfortunately, analyzing and dating or trying to look for why something should make sense, or with women, it doesn't typically work. And I laugh because I'm one of them, and I know that we don't always work logically. We work based on feeling. So if you can get out there and have a good time and create experience and be more aware of her emotional state and play with that state, you're going to have a lot more fun. Then you can worry when you get home about, look, like, is this really the right woman for me? And, you know, apply some of your logic later. But in the moment, I want you to feel it and have a good time. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, observations, what you think of this video, if this has been helpful for you, if you heard this, but maybe you heard it from me in a slightly different way, please drop your comments and thoughts below the video too. It's fun to have the community engage and learn from you guys as well. And again, thanks for tuning in and paying attention to this week's video, and look forward to bringing you another one next week. Ciao.